Hi, everybody. It's Kanesha from boldlivingtoday.com, and welcome to Wednesday Club. Hi, everybody. Facebook, Instagram. So glad to be with you today, and I'm super excited about a lot of things. So I hope I don't talk too quickly, but I typically talk so fast when I get excited about things. So a few things before I launch into today's topic for Wednesday Club. First of all, I went with my friend today to a kickboxing class. And oh my gosh, when I tell you that it was so fun, but it's a few hours since I went, I'm still like a little like, woo, shaky. But at the same time, I still feel super energized. And I was just super proud of myself. For one, I have been wanting to try this particular kickboxing class. And, sometimes you are intimidated about being new or about not doing things right. And I did not let that affect me today. I was just like, I'm going to put on my best sports bra to keep everything in and see how it goes. And so it was great. So I can't wait to go back. So I'm super excited about that. And then also last night, I got a chance to go up to is it Lowell or Lovo? Well, anyway, I got to go to San Francisco to the Carol Channing Theater and hear Margaret Atwood talk about her new book, The Testament. So I'm so excited to dive into that. But I promised myself that I could not touch that book until this weekend because I have a big event coming up on Friday, and I have some clients in between. And if I dive into a good book, is like, forget about it. My level of productivity in other areas of my life and world will suffer because nothing gets in the way of me in a good book, except maybe a sick child, to be quite honest. So anyway, September has been so great for me in the Bold Living Today community. I have had a live event or facilitated a live event each week of this month. In addition to working with clients, in addition to doing my writing and some volunteer work, I have been somewhere each week of this month, presenting on topics where it was like creativity, mindfulness, productivity, of course, in regards to your planner. So I'm so excited for this Friday because I'm going to round out my presentation series with the Women's Networking Alliance, and it will be in San Jose on this Friday, and I'm on the schedule to teach my focus protocol workshop, and this is probably about the fourth time I've taught it. Earlier this year in January, I facilitated a portion of that workshop for the women entrepreneurs of Los Altos, and I kicked off the calendar year with a lunch and learn on that topic on productivity, and I taught certain aspects of the focus protocol because it's pretty robust, and I typically work with mastermind groups for 4 months on this to get the right systems in place, to understand productivity profiles, to really help the participants get in a space to understand that productivity is not just about getting things done. It's not just about being as busy as possible. It's not just about checking off to-do lists and things like that. It's really about having the right systems in place, putting in a team that you need, especially as a solopreneur. If you're just starting out, or you are rebranding, or you're realizing the way you've done it in the past is not working and you need to do something a lot differently so that you won't burn out and that you can keep growing your business or scaling it or keep it open. So it's been really fun to lead those mastermind groups. And I do have to say this because sometimes when I tell people I've done this, they're like, I never see this mastermind information on your website, or you never advertise it. Typically what happens is I'll go to an event and I'll be the facilitator, the presenter, the keynote, and then I'll have enough people from that event who want to continue the conversations about that topic, and that's how we end up putting together the mastermind, because they are usually from the same organization, or they have some common interest or something like that, and it just makes the perfect storm of bold thinkers who want to get something done and want my support in doing it. So I really love leading those groups, and it's really an intimate way to understand what their needs are and customize and tailor fit the tools and materials and the support around them. because I want people to get those things done on their own terms. So Wednesday, my talk is around the focus protocol and its productivity solutions for small business owners. So I am focusing a lot around how we start our businesses, what our purpose is, what our intent is, our mission, and all of that. And then how true are we able to stay to it based on our productivity? And if we're not, where are the holes, where are the gaps, and what can we do to fill them without feeling guilty about it or feeling like I should have known better? I mean, when we know better, we do better, right? So it's really around the storytelling piece of how we come to where we are or why you're interested in that particular topic. And then here's some new information to help you make some easy shifts and then continue to grow those shifts. So one thing I want to talk about today that people get really excited about when I teach this particular workshop is the productivity profiles. And, some people are like, I had no idea that there was even the thing of productivity profiles. I didn't even know people had those. And there's a lot of research about that. And I plan to put some resource links in the video notes. But one thing that I always talk to people about, and this was really important to me when I was a director at a university and, I was working with a team, I had my own duties, I had my own direct reports, but I was always liaising with other people who were trying to work on certain things that were similar, but, we had different roles and duties, but basically working as a team would work the best. So I always like to do at the beginning of semesters or beginning of terms, some type of inventory as a group, have somebody facilitate that for us so we can learn about each other's personalities and work styles. Because a lot of times teams are thrown together and you never even talk about your work style. You never even talk about, how your personality maps to the work that you're doing and how you execute and how you think. People are just thrown together and expected just to figure it out. And typically they do, but they don't always do it in a way that's really efficient or a way that builds positive climate and culture. And it can be really challenging. And sometimes it causes people to, leave that particular organization or work group. And then, then you have to retrain somebody else and start from the beginning. So, I think it's important to learn about each other before you start working together. So when I'm talking to participants about the productivity styles, I always say there's different styles, and we come to these different styles by, our level of interest sometimes in the task, our exposure to things, the way we've been trained in previous positions to, digest information, to work with people, to communicate. And, some of it is just innate. It's who we are. It's who we, show up as and how we come to be. So I'm going to talk about the 4 productivity styles and a few characteristics about it, and then talk about how you can use that information to be more productive with your team, with your work life, with your family, or whatever the case is. So the 4 productivity profiles are: you have 1, the driver; 2, the dreamer; 3, the drifter; and 4, the developer. And I didn't say those in any particular order. I just read them off. So it's the driver, the dreamer, the drifter, and the developer. And so what that means is that, there are 3 common things that come into play with productivity. And those things are the actual planning, then the actual doing, and then the in-between of those is the motivating, like how to keep going with it. So you have your planning, your doing, and your motivating. And depending on how that combination of things plays out, that determines if you are a driver, a dreamer, a drifter, or a developer. So if you are a driver, that means that you're strong in planning, you're strong in doing, but you're not very good at motivating. You are head down, getting the work done, checking things off your task list, wanting to meet each deadline at all costs. And it's not that you don't do a good job about it, but if you're working with a team or, you have like one person or an assistant working with you, you're not motivating them to help you or to support you or to have any input because you have such a specific, narrow vision on how it needs to go. You are just really, really critical in the things and how they are going to get done in that moment, but you're not thinking about the future. If you have to repeat that project, repeat that task, you just want to focus on what it is right now you're driving to get it done. So planning and doing are your strong sets, and motivating is, very low for you. And this doesn't mean that it's a negative thing, but I always tell people this is important to know, because if you know you're strong in planning and doing, then you don't necessarily need to get somebody on your team who's also as strong as you in those areas. Get somebody who's stronger in the area where you are not as developed, you know, so you can round out your team, you can be functioning, and people can shine in the areas that are specific to them. So yes, so for the driver, they really need to, you know, take time to take a breath for themselves, and then to allow other people to have some level of input. And this is why it's important to have some type of system or protocol in place, so that you all will have a brainstorm session, brainstorm meeting, a way for all the ideas to get out of there, and then a particular protocol to put those things in place so that all the voices are properly heard. And then you can assign tasks and duties based on people's productivity strengths. So that was the driver. The second profile is the dreamer. So the dreamer is very strong in planning, very strong in motivating, not as strong in doing. So this is your like idea person. This is the person who can come up with a gazillion ideas and, you know, think about the things and the way that you can do them and how it would be exciting for people and how people can get involved. But then when it comes to the executing and the doing, they kind of like fall off. And not because they're not skilled, but they're still so in that space of dreaming about ideas. They love to, you know, have meetings and pick other people's brains. So that can slow somebody like a driver down. You know, you have this dreamer who has brilliant ideas and ready to do things, but, you know, when it's time to execute, they're just kind of like, oh, well, I'm still thinking about this. And the driver's like, no, we should be doing this by now. We've already planned it. You and I agreed on the planning. Now let's do it. You know, and that's not very motivating to say to a dreamer. So, you know, drivers and dreamers, they really have challenges in working with each other, but that's not a negative thing, because sometimes you really need to get somebody in there who might be, you know, a drifter or a developer. And I'll talk about those in a second. And the thing is, I love working with dreamers because those are the big idea people, because, you know, my work style is really strong in planning, strong in executing, and I can be motivating, but it depends on how new our relationship is in working together. And I ask a lot of questions before I do collaborative things. And, you know, I've had some unfortunate situations where I thought people were going to be a good fit in collaborating, but they turned out to be really big dreamers. And when it came to executing, it kind of fell apart. And, you know, I didn't do my due diligence in having them explain to me how they executed past projects or past partnerships or stuff like that. So I've learned along the years of how to do that. And it doesn't mean that I would never work with a dreamer, but it means that I have to have stronger boundaries in place with them, you know, and them for me too. You know, they have to have stronger boundaries in place for me for getting things done and being a strong executor. And then just really understanding the scope of the project we're doing and making sure that the tasks and the actionable items that they have are really in line with their productivity style. So good to know. Okay, so the third profile is the drifter. And this is someone who is great at motivating others, your rah-rah person, great at doing, like you ask them to do something, awesome. They want to motivate, they want to do it, but they don't like the planning stage. They don't care about all the nitty-gritty details. They don't care about the big picture of things. This is someone who just wants to learn about stuff and read about it, and then they don't want to do the planning side. They like to consume information. They're really interested in being knowledgeable, but they don't have a really great or strong track record for finishing projects. You know, they'll start something, but then it's half done. They don't finish it. And it doesn't mean that it's not done well. I don't want you to hear that. But they just don't finish things because planning is difficult for them. They want to motivate and they want to do stuff, but then when you have to plan like the next part of whatever that task is, they tend to fall out. And they like to bounce around like, ooh, new shiny thing. Ooh, this looks exciting. And they just, you know, get a little distracted. And that's a challenge too for a lot of people, because then they think those people are wishy-washy, and that's not really the correct productivity way to like what am I looking for? To analyze them or to rate their performance. That's not really fair to call them wishy-washy, because they really serve the place of, you know, really getting people on board and being really excited. You know, they're really great frontline people, like, you know, maybe, you know, your receptionist type person, or the person who's like a greeter at an event or something like that. They're excellent at that because that's a very specific task. It has a very distinct start, a very distinct finish, and that's what they're there for. So that's the drifter. And then you have the developer, and that's the person who's great at planning. That's the person that's great at doing, and that's also the person that's great at motivating. And people will say, this is the best profile to have because you have all things intact, and that's not necessarily true. This might be a highly desirable profile to have, but the developer also tends to take on more than they have to. They tend to be more of the workaholic type, and they they understand the entire scope of things, but sometimes they don't want to ask other people for help for fear that it won't be executed at the level they want. And it could be at the same level, but developers tend to think sometimes that it has to be exactly how they thought it would be. And I fall into the developer category, and I've had such growth since starting my business. I am a strong planner. I mean, I'm teaching workshops and skills about productivity. I just love planning things out. I teach journaling and planner workshops. I'm a planner. I love doing things. I don't know if it's because I'm an only child and I had a lot of time on my hands growing up, but I like doing things. I like making things and stuff like that, and I like getting people excited. I'm here as a creativity expert and a productivity coach and helping people do things, and I like to do that. But my challenge with this productivity profile for myself is that I think I really have to do all these things by myself, and I have to get them done like today. Like I'll have like a list this big, and I'll think, what, that should be done today, when it's easily a 5-day to-do list or even 10-day. And so, as I've gotten better in learning my productivity styles and understanding how I work and think and execute and plan and motivate and things like that, it's been easier for me to outsource certain things because I can be really specific about what I'm looking for, and I can ask the questions about other people's productivity profiles and understand better if it's a fit. And even if I want that person and it's not like an ideal profile to work with a developer, I still can understand, like, I really want that person's expertise, and I really understand that I can talk to them in this way so that we can both be happy, both be successful, thriving, and productive. So, it's not, understanding people's productivity profile is not about making excuses for how they work. It's just really sets you up to be, more compassionate, less in the space of self-rejection, and really, build a team or seek services or barter services with people who are going to help celebrate what you're trying to do, whether it's your brand, whether it's something you want in your personal life, philanthropy, whatever the case is. You can just seek out people who complement what you have going on with your productivity profile and make you feel, like you're actually getting the right things done as opposed to just getting any and everything done. So super important to understand productivity profiles and how they work for you and how you can get, more bang for the buck in getting your right things done and all of that. So Friday, I'm doing the event, as I mentioned, and I'm going to have my booth set up where people, who hear my talk, who meet me, can ask their productivity questions, and there'll be a space where they can leave their questions, so that next week, on next Wednesday's Wednesday Club, I can, go through the questions and answer them, and you'll get an idea of what people are asking, and then, hopefully it'll be helpful for you. And as always, you can submit your own questions specifically about productivity or any topics you want discussed during Wednesday Club. You can submit those to the survey, and that information is always in the video notes where you can access that link to the survey and all that. And I think I got so excited. I forgot to say, for our new folks who are new to Wednesday Club, why is it club? The C stands for creativity. The L stands for learning from and successfully navigating life transitions, always in some type of transition. The U is for untangling from things and thoughts that keep us small. And then the B is building and amplifying our boldness. So that's why it's called Wednesday Club. I forgot to say that earlier. Got too excited. So yeah, if you have any topics or questions or something you'd like me to talk about or explore on Wednesday Club, you can always leave it in a comment, but you can also drop it in the Wednesday Club survey, which is in the video notes. So I'll be taking a bunch of pictures on Friday so you can see my booth and you can see what's going on at the event, and I'll get that stuff posted. And I hope everybody's having a really fun and nice week. It is super hot right now in Northern California, which is feeling odd. I mean, the weather's always nice in my opinion, but it's autumn. I'm ready to wear more fall clothes, but it's like 90 something degrees. You know, I gotta go get a new pedicure because still way into sandal season. So anyway, I hope everybody's having a great week. Like I said, thanks for being here, and I will see you all next week at noon Pacific time. And of course, sometimes if I have a conflict, I will announce if the time changes, but we will always be on Wednesdays. Have a good day, everybody. Stay bold and enjoy the day. Bye.